right. Come on. There we go. Hello, camera. All right, we are live. Hey there, everybody. How are you doing today? I'm very, very excited. It is Monday once again, which means that we are in the grips of Midtown Madness Monday here in Marvel Heroes 2015. I'm very, very excited, and as per a request on my YouTube by Sanit Roy again, he asked me to take Mr. Fantastic into Midtown Madness using only the plasticity tree. So it should be very interesting. I think it'll be fun. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And incidentally, I'm looking forward to it because I played Mr. Fantastic a bit over the weekend. You can see I don't have any real good artifacts, but I've actually bulked up his uniques fairly decently. And not only that, but with all the other people in Midtown, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But you are all familiar with Midtown Madness. You know how it works. We've got bad guys. Bad guys drop awesome stuff, and we're going to go and collect some awesome stuff. The problem is going to be just figuring out exactly how to work some of this stuff. And get the tree out of my way. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to be... Oh, really? Not cool. I do love that, by the way. Whoosha! So... one thing that I wanted to do as well is discuss some of the upcoming features for Marvel Heroes. There is a whole bunch going on. A lot of stuff that I'm really, really excited to see that I can't wait to show up. And I'll wait to see if we can get a couple of people before I really start talking about things, because I was playing a lot on the test center and whatnot, with particularly with... what's his name? Winter Soldier. But then we got a couple of other really major things coming up as well. As always, I am watching the chat for the live stream here, so if you have questions, comments, concerns, if you want to see some specific gameplay, whatever it happens to be, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to help out. Whee! This is probably going to be the move that I use all the time, because it's one of the few actual attacks that the plasticity tree has. But it works really well. And somebody whispered me. Ooh, I'll just respond here real quick. Hooray! And we'll just roll around a little bit until the next bosses come. Incidentally, plasticity tree not too bad. I hadn't used the twister too much, but it's actually pretty good. Let's get a bunch of Hydra over here. Let's wait for the ninjas to show up. Let me hit the Hydra guy there. All right, now we're rocking. Bring it! I inflate at you. There's so many hits. Bye, doggy. I inflated him to death. Ha! Sorry, defeat. I did not kill him. He was defeated. So, since there's a couple of people, not too many people though, basically, I know I wanted to talk about Winter Soldier primarily, and in part because we still have the Winter Wonderland of Midtown. And the thing is that I played him quite a bit on Test Center, and I really, really liked him. I liked the latest iteration that they had for him. There's still some changes that I think really need to be made, and part of the problem for me is I don't know exactly how many more iterations there are going to be before he's actually released. Because one of the major issues I have is he's obviously very well designed as a hybrid hero. He's designed to be used as both melee and range because he's got the melee attacks and he's got the guns and all that kind of stuff. But the problem for me personally is just that I don't think the melee was exceedingly well represented. I think it was decent, but I think that it could have been much, much better represented in terms of different skills that he used. The one really nice thing that I love is the fact that he's got something somewhat similar to what Venom does with the Ichor and the health, where, oh, somebody invite me to a party. That's so nice. He has the thing with the Ichor and the health balance, where using specific attacks will spend either one, but then using other attacks will regain one or the other. So it's a really interesting balance to have to deal with, and Winter Soldier has something relatively similar, where you've got the different stances, and depending on which stance you have active at the time, it'll change which powers have bonuses. So you've got the stance that gives bonus to what are called the bionic powers, because he has the bionic arm, or you have the ones that the one that gives bonuses to the what are the other ones? The firearm powers are the other major category. So I think it's cool because it actively encourages you to play as a hybrid, which is very, very rare, not only in Marvel Heroes, but in games like this in general, just in ARPGs in general. More often than not, it's depending on what game you're playing, it tends to be limited to things like different characters can equip different weapons, and because they can equip different weapons, it means that you're going to have potentially have a more difficult time with taking powers, because you might be able to have either a sword or a bow, and you can swap between the two, stuff like that. But I think that Winter Soldier does is a really good way of balancing the melee with the range. I know Thor, after his 52 review, actually did that decently well too. That was another relatively tough road, and definitely a 52 review that needed to happen. And the thing is that it becomes extremely difficult to really balance them and make both options viable. I think Winter Soldier probably comes the closest to that. But in all fairness, that's not saying a great deal, just because none of the other heroes have really truly tried to fit that niche. We've got Thor, we've got Rogue, who can steal all the powers and potentially do it, but the problem is, by and large, you have to focus on either melee or ranged, and doing both is rare indeed. But that said, again, assuming that he's going to be similar to the last iteration of the test center, I think that Winter Soldier will turn out pretty decently. Because again, I had a blast with him. It was a lot of fun. One of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about, though, is the upcoming changes to the team-up system. Because ever since it was released, one of the biggest issues that many people have had is that team-ups just aren't used very much in active form. And you can see whenever I stream, whenever I play, I do my patch videos or whatever it happens to be, the only time that I look at active powers for team-ups is when I'm demonstrating them on Test Center, so that we can see, like, oh, look, there's the active power. That's what it looks like. Other than that, I never use them. I always set team-ups to passive, just because of the passive benefits, and the damage that they do and the damage that they absorb just doesn't balance well enough. And why is that still open? And the revamping to the team-up system is going to vastly change all of that. It's going to change exactly how that works, and it's going to do it in several ways. We see that we're going to have something similar to PowerPoints, where we can actually put points into active and passive powers for the team-up heroes, just like we do with all the regular heroes, which means that we're going to be able to do very similar things in terms of, you can potentially have melee, you can potentially have range, you can potentially stick to doing passive abilities, you can try to do active abilities, etc., etc., all of that kind of stuff. And it sounds very interesting. I'm excited to see how Gazillion handles it, but one of the issues that I think can potentially come up is just overall complexity, because this game in and of itself right now is fairly complicated already, and it's relatively difficult, especially for new people to play, in part just because there's already a lot going on. And you can imagine something like a build guide, where you see all of the different options for building a specific hero, where you've got a focus on one specific tree versus another. You've got the hybrid heroes. You've got somebody like Doctor Strange, where you have to use multiple power bars or else it just doesn't work. Just stuff like that can seriously affect how efficiently you can play a hero, and not only that, but how efficiently and how much space you need to write a guide for them. Not to mention coming up with team-up builds as well, and trying to do all the synergy with that. And I mean, we've already got Omega, we've got items, we've got medallions, we've got artifacts, we've got the regular gear slots, we've got enchantments, we've got rune words, we've got the legendary items, just all sorts of stuff already. And my biggest worry for the team-ups is that we're going to end up with something so complicated and convoluted that it's going to take weeks just to figure out what it can do. And obviously, to a lot of people, that's going to be fun. That's why a lot of people play games like this, is for the potential complexity and for all of the potential with builds and things like that. It can make a much more exciting game, but in part, I worry that Gazillion is going to do something similar to what they did for the 1-year anniversary for the 2nd year anniversary, where they're going to do a massive, like, essentially PR and marketing push to try to get new players. And the problem is going to be that there's going to be way too many features for people to really understand and wrap their heads around, unfortunately. And again, it's not necessarily in and of itself bad, but it is potentially bad. I think the biggest thing that it's got going for it now, or the game in general, is just the sheer number of heroes that are possible that people can play as. And the fact that after the 2nd day, the login reward is now the 400 splinters just straight up. So you can essentially buy virtually any hero that you want with the splinters within a week. Depending on how, what's the word I'm looking for? Not efficiently, but how dedicated you are to really playing. But that's neither here nor there. So lots of really cool stuff coming up. I'm really excited to see it. Like I said, one of the things I'm most excited for is the final implementation of Winter Soldier, who I really think is the first true hybrid hero for this game, because it is something that is desperately needed, if you ask me. And it's nice because a lot of heroes recently, and also with things like Captain America's recent rework, same thing with like X-23, she got a rework as well, or she will. It'll go live hopefully next week. But both of them have reworks that involve their secondary resources, where Captain America added one. He's got the Super Soldier Serum now, and now the big thing for X-23 is the way her bleeds stack, because that's one of her biggest mechanics is that you have to stack bleeds so that you do a lot more damage, etc., etc. And it's going to be interesting to see how well those things are implemented. And on top of that, it makes me more excited for upcoming characters. Like Iceman is next up, and a lot of people are asking about, aesthetics. Like is he going to be all ice form? Is he going to be in the human form with ice shards? Is he going to be able to change the amount of ice around him, etc., etc.? And stuff like that I really don't care about personally. I'm really more interested in how they're actually going to play out the character himself, and what kind of powers they're going to give him, and how they're going to do a secondary resource. Because virtually every hero that's come out recently, and a lot of the 52 reviews, not only did it change the mechanism for Spirit, but it also they were also given a lot of them were given some sort of some sort of secondary resource as well to spend. So I'm very excited to see him. I know as of right now he doesn't have a secondary resource. I don't think it's that necessary, but who knows? Maybe he'll get Super Soldier Serum eventually or something like that. Oh, wow, that was a lot. Let's just fight these bad guys real quick, and then we'll get back to ramblings. Very exciting stuff, though. Lots of interesting things coming up. if you're wondering, I'm gonna be playing for probably until I get to like around 55 or so. I'm at 51 right now. I'm not gonna take too long, but that's what's on the agenda as of right now. Either way, clearly the plasticity the plasticity tree is very viable by itself. Um, yeah, I'm not even using the basic punching attack, and I'm doing fairly awesomely. But again, I'm not soloing, so that's probably a big part of it. Gimme. I should probably turn the cosmic eating back on, the cosmic vaporizer, but we'll leave it off for now. I agree, whoever you are. See, now I'm almost done with the Midtown Patrol shared. Haha! Speak of the devil, I need you. Oof. Yeah. If you all watch my patch videos, obviously this is more for people watching this video on YouTube later on. If you've seen those, then you know the last few patches have been, I wouldn't say mediocre, but they're certainly a lot smaller than they previously have been. And I know that this week's is supposed to be a relatively big one with the I think this is going to be the release of Winter Soldier and also the quality of life for X-23 and Captain America. And in addition, we're probably going to see the new team-up system on the test center. If not towards the end of this week, then hopefully either next week or the week after at the very latest. Hopefully. We'll see. But obviously can't be certain about that in any sort of context. These guys are aliens, right? Yeah, I thought so. So I'm excited to see that too. All sorts of stuff I'm excited for. It's one of the things I like about this game over some others that are that do similar stuff. Oh, speaking of which, one other thing I wanted to talk about. On Saturday, voting finished for MMORPG.com's voting for the oh, sorry about that. Like the game of the year for 2014, and not only did Marvel Heroes win, but it won by a landslide. It was ridiculous. I think we won with a total of just over 50% of the vote, and the next one in line was ESO, and they had, God, what was it? It was like 15 or something like that. It was really low, 15 or 16. So it's really cool. I'm excited. One thing that the developers are going to do, actually, just as a general note to everybody, is tomorrow, the 3rd. The developers, Agent Parks specifically, is going to eat. He's going to try to eat, I believe it's 35 hot dogs, one for each percentage point that Marvel Heroes was up by, and they're doing a big. It's a big charity event. They're gonna give, I think it's $10 for every hot dog that he manages to eat. They're gonna live stream him eating it. They're gonna be giving away items. They're gonna be giving away the Fred Dawson's hot dog cart. I believe it's a unique item. I don't think it's an artifact. But they're going to be giving those away. They're going to be giving away all sorts of other items. Probably doing some kind of spoilers of some sort. So just all sorts of craziness. It's going to be awesome. And that's going to be at, I believe they said 2 p.m. Pacific time. I believe is what they said. Don't quote me on that, though. You have to check the forums to see exactly when it is. But I think it's going to be pretty awesome, and just in general, it goes to show the community that we've got. A lot of people, if you happen to read the statements on MMORPG's website, like the comments for the actual contest itself, then you'll see a lot of people are like, it was cheating because the developers posted it on the Marvel Heroes forums, like all that kind of stuff, and a bunch of people came in just for voting. And to be honest, I actually did that. I never go on to MMORPG.com. But the fact is, I enjoy this game. I played every single game that is on that list in some capacity. Some obviously I played a lot more than others, like for example WildStar I only played in beta. I didn't play after it got the official release. ESO I played after it's released for a little bit. World of Warcraft I played years and years ago, although that wasn't one of the options. Either way, I played all of them in some context, and just in general, Marvel Heroes has been the most fun for me personally. So all these people, or a decent number of people, I won't say all these people, but a reasonable number of people were saying that it's unfair because it was posted on the forums and all this kind of stuff. We're getting bribed by the developers because they give us free stuff, and all this kind of stuff. And in part, it's just on principle unfair because people didn't vote expecting to receive any items. Granted, we will be getting items based on the number of hot dogs that Agent Parks manages to eat, but that's up to him. That's not simply because we voted. In part, it's just because we won. And we just as easily could have lost. But, well, maybe not just as easily. Either way, I'm not going to talk too much about that, because potentially that can open too many cans of worms that we don't want to deal with. Either way, we won. They're giving away free stuff for it. Go do it. It's awesome. Boing, boing. It's almost more fun not to use the signature so that you can just bounce around a little bit. Hey, go back. Do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Oh, it recharged, that's why. Haha, I win. Oh, man. Oh, Winter Soldier, we're looking forward to you. Oh, Bucky. It'll be fun. It will be fun. Whee! Bet you didn't know that Mr. Fantastic was a drifter. I inflated you! Oh, yeah. Incidentally, also as part of the team-ups, if you don't know, we've got Gazillion, the developers have the second Team Up Advance Pack available for purchase right now. It's actually relatively inexpensive, and especially now ahead of all of the massive changes that are coming to the Team Up system, I would obviously recommend getting it. It's got all sorts of people. I mentioned them in my last stream, or at least most of them, but there's a bunch of recognizable people. There's Rescue, there's Sunspot, there's Quicksilver, which is going to be interesting. One thing that Gazillion mentioned was, as playable heroes, they won't do any speedsters, but as the team ups, obviously, they'll manage to get the tech to work if they haven't already. So Quicksilver was one of them. Who else? Carnage is going to be there. All sorts of people. The Captain America, the version, it was, I still can't remember the guy's name. The guy who used to be the Falcon, Sam something. He's going to be one of the team ups. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Spider Gwen. So just all sorts of crazy stuff. Well, not crazy, but all sorts of good people, if you ask me. So I'm just generally looking forward to it. Take that, living laser. Oh! I said it once, I'll say it again. Plasticity definitely works pretty well on its own. Just the plasticity tree. I don't want Showdown in Lowtown. I gotta re-roll that. No! Save Hood. Ah! I missed Hood. I kind of figured I would. Haha, you're funny. Ooh, unique. Incidentally, I'm not running any boosts right now, if you were curious. But I do have some of the random stuff, like what's his name? I think it's Gambit that does Riff. Excuse me. Gimme. I would not like a Wicked Wand of Watatum. Thank you. New gloves. Punchy gloves. Okay. Incidentally, I probably should have popped a an XP boost to do this more efficiently, but whatever. We'll roll with it. This is fun. I when I first played as Mr. Fantastic, I honestly didn't have a lot of fun with him, but now that I've got him at a higher level, it's a lot more fun. I think that in part what I would like to see Gazillion do is something similar to what they did with all of the starter heroes, where now since all of the starter heroes can essentially be tested by new players or old players if you just don't have all the starters, then they were changed in such a way that now they have a relatively faster progression early on. So that means that you can get some of the better, more commonly used powers earlier than you would otherwise with the previous systems for the heroes. So I really like it more, and I think that it would be cool to give at least a similar treatment to everybody else, not exactly the same. Eh. I need elites. I'm going to go ahead and open my fortune cards. Of course! Oh, sweet! It requires level 60. Awesome. Yay, that's slightly better. Energy and mental. Who's energy and mental? Is Ghost Rider energy and mental? Or is he just mental? Nah, I don't know. I'm sure that there's one. No, the question is then, do they use radioactive? Ugh. Either way, that's actually a fairly decent insignia if I can find an appropriate hero for it. I keep seeing the sentinel heads there. It freaks me out. Oh, jeez. Duh. How could I forget that too? One of the other major things that's been on Test Center for a while was the new not iteration, but all of the changes to Midtown. Oh man, awesome! Totally awesome. It's going to be a lot more similar to the way that ICP is now, in terms of we've got the random bosses just sort of hanging around at various times and in different locations, and because of that, that means that we can now farm medallions much easier for several people. I don't know if the developers have said specifically if the like the uniques and the artifacts will drop here. I would imagine that at the very least the artifacts would, because I know that artifacts specific to the bosses here do drop. I actually got a Black Tom Shillelagh off of a Juggernaut once, so I know that the Midtown bosses drop their own uniques, and I hope that the random bosses that are coming up will do that too. But yeah, as far as the random bosses, we're gonna have Mole Man. We'll have, what's his name, Man Ape, and Black Cat at the very least. I remember those were the major ones. There was also an image where you could clearly see Mr. Sinister, and that would be pretty cool. I mean, that's not bad. He's got a terminal that you can farm fairly easily, but apparently he wasn't supposed to be in there or something. I'm confused by it. The developers are trying to confuse us with the facts, and I never like to see that. Full steam ahead, no, boo. Boo. Bigger they are. This is the nice thing about having a decent amount of credits. It's being able to do this. And I still have over 2 million. Ugh. I have such money problems. I have too much of it. Oh man, boo. This is terrible. And I actually have even more than that. I'll go over to my stash later on. Oh yeah, of course. Obviously, Dr. Octopus and his mechanical arms are hanging out in Midtown. Bah! So let's go over to the stash real quick. It's funny. I think it's funny. As for those of you who don't know, if you go over to the crafter here, he's got exchange recipes where you can get all sorts of different stuff. Upgrade token for a unique, and then you can trade duplicate uniques for relics, runes, or credits, or relics, runes, credits, or a different unique. So since I really don't need a lot of uniques, I've got enough already. I actually exchanged a lot of them for the really big credit chests. So now I actually have just a giant stack of credit chests somewhere in here. It's not in that one. That's my new one. Yeah, they're buried a little bit. There they are. 18 credit chests worth 9 million credits. Yeah. I could credit cap 3 times. And I know there are people who have a lot more than that, but that's how much I've got right now. Whee! My biggest problem is I've got a ton of any hero uniques that that I don't really need, but at the same time I might need them at some point. I am quite the unique hoarder. And I still have all the stuff from when the daily login reward glitched. I still haven't used any of that stuff, mostly because I'm afraid to. I don't know what'll happen. They might get mad at me, and I don't want them to. Being in a party with only 2 people is rough. So many sentinels. Oh great, of course the boss spawn is right on top of a bunch of sentinels. Well, nearly. Fail! I fail at seeing little symbols. Just for fun, I'm going to use my ultimate because I actually don't really know what it looks like. Oh, jeez! Is that me? Oh, dude, that's awesome! Oh, that was pretty cool. It looked cool. I don't know if I actually did a lot of damage. It didn't seem like I did much damage with that. And of course, right after I use my signature, I get run over by Juggernaut. Makes perfect sense. And then the desk is in my way. Whee! I'm serious. If they take out one of those bosses while I'm on my way back, I'm gonna be. Oh! At least I got the second one. So close. So very, very close. Alright. So we'll play till 54, and then I'll get going. No questions in the chat room. Not a problem. But incidentally, Plasticity Tree is really fun. I like it. And I hope that you guys are looking forward to some of the cool stuff as much as I am. Oops, wrong button. That was such a waste. I didn't mean to. Since he's invulnerable, I'll just hang out, open up my stuff. Well, clearly you're not, because you just got stopped. Ooh, burn. Alright. We need some elites here. Oh, man. What other features are coming up? That's one thing that I saw in the forums as well, is the Danger Room, which was previously known as the Infinite Dungeon, is still on the way. It was rumored that it was going to be released before Christmas of last year. Obviously, that didn't happen. But there's a ton of stuff still on the way. We've got our second raid that's coming as well. We'll have the next part of the story arc, which is probably going to be the Secret Invasion with the scrolls. That's what everybody has indicated, and also what all of the initial spoilers have said as well, or not really spoilers, but the sort of like, ooh, look, the teasers. That's a better word. That's what they have all indicated. So we'll see. It shouldn't be a whole lot longer. As far as the danger room itself, I believe it was Heretic on the forums mentioned that it's just about ready to go to internal testing. So it's still a little bit of a ways away, but it is still on the way. So still looking forward to seeing it, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. It'll be a nice new thing for endgame content. I'm really waiting to see if it's going to be more focused on group stuff, something like HoloSim, or if it's going to be solely what's it called? Solely a solo thing, like what's the game? Is it Onimusha? I believe the old PlayStation 2 game, and then I think they had a second one. But in that game, they had like the 100 level dungeon that you would go down. I hope it's something similar to that, because I think that would be more appropriate and what a lot of people are looking for, frankly. But yeah. If anyone has any questions on anything, this goes for people watching right now, as well as once this is on my YouTube channel. If you have questions about Winter Soldier, how he plays, how he functions, all that kind of stuff, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to talk about him, as well as any of the other stuff too, with Captain America and X-23, their quality of life stuff, and the Midtown retrofit, which I'm very, very excited about. Apparently also going to help general performance, which has been said time and time and time again, but it still lags a decent amount. So we'll go ahead and wait for this next boss wave, and then I'll just quick sum up, and I will head out. Green Goblin again. Alright, let's do it. Mr. Fantastic is on the way with some plasticity. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Woo! Hopefully Rhino won't run me over like stupid Juggernaut did. That was really annoying. Boing, boing. No, 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 no! Don't! What did I just say? Oh, and it was the same thing too. I just used my signature. I do not like you. Oh, Rhino. Stupid telegraph attack. Tried to move out of the way. That's the problem with being a bouncing ball that only bounces up and down. Ugh. And again, I missed one. Ugh. At least I missed Rhino. That means that he won't run me over anymore, so that's good. I'll take it. Got armor research drives. Incidentally, armor research drives, some awesome stuff. If you didn't know, the armor drives are a great way to get some really awesome costume cores. Just FYI, if you didn't know. Very, very good. Because they have defense and then guaranteed 4 affixes in addition to that. Alright. Well, that's it for me, like I said. I hope that you enjoyed my little stream here with Mr. Fantastic and his plasticity in Midtown Madness. And again, if you want to discuss Winter Soldier, I talked a lot about the hybrid nature of him, how he sort of fills that niche a lot better than some of the other heroes have who tried to do it. I personally think, and then of course the team up revamp. Looking forward to that. Sort of guesstimating what might happen, how that's going to work. Very excited, and they're going to be getting their own experience, their own PowerPoints. It's going to be a completely different system. So that's very, very exciting. Looking forward to it. And on top of that, just the Midtown revamp, all that good stuff. It's going to be pretty amazing. It's going to be a great couple of months with all of this brand new stuff coming out and some really major revamps to like central systems. So definitely looking forward to it. But with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.